also do other things in splines. Like I take this line right here, and I go to the top, and I'll delete this one right here. And I do some pre-made shapes like a circle. Okay. Actually, let's do an ellipse. Ellipse is a non-perfect circle, so it's in an oval position here. If I move this over, and I can take things like another, let's do a rectangle, and I'll make a rectangle, but I'm going to do it from the front. Okay. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to rotate it. This TZ, get it kind of straight here. There we go. So it's a straight piece right there. It's on there. Now I can take this one and come over to, instead of the modify menu, I'll go down in the drop down and go to compound objects or compound shapes. Oops, compound objects. You have to go back to the modify, go to compound objects. Then you're going to loft. And what a loft does is it'll take one shape and use the other shape to define its form. So you'll see if I look here, it says path and shape. Okay, so I'll get, I have the path, which is the circle I want, and I'm going to get the shape. So I'll click on the shape, and now I've got that right there. Again, all this is a torus that's defined a little bit funny, and you still want to cut it in half and do all the other stuff to it. And you know, look at this, it's divided it for you, and you do have controls over that. If I come back to the modify panel, surface parameters, I can say, where's it? Actually, I guess it's skin parameters. Change this to 2, and it's going to have 2 or 1 or 0, so it does a perfect like that. I can also say the shapes, again, between them is 5. If I turn this down or up, there's the actual points. Now remember, what we're looking at is this object, its shape. So this edge right here. So because it's got interpolation on it, meaning that it's dividing it up, it divided that piece up originally. So if I turn this back to 6, 3 or whatever, it divides it that way. So I mean, it's got its uses. It's useful in some ways. In some things it's really fast to get through. In some ways I almost don't use, I mean, I rarely use it. There's times, like I made for the other class we did this. Let me show you. I'm going to delete this, go to front, take this, edit this piece right here, go to the left, I guess. And if you want to make a division inside of a object or a rectangle, you come inside of here, you turn it actually by default. You can't mess with the basic rectangle. So you can either turn it to an editable spline and add verts, or you can like multiply this and do what's called Boolean. So right now I'm going to do something like this just to make it simple. And then I'm going to say, grab the original, turn it to an editable poly again, spline, I mean, again. And inside the spline, I'm going to say, go to the different modes. So there's vertex mode, there's edge mode, and then there's whole spline mode. So in here, I can tell it to go Boolean, which means I can add these two together. So if I click on Boolean and then I click on, actually they have to be added together first. So attach this to this. So now I have these two shapes that are working together as one. If I say Boolean and I use this button right here, union, it's going to, let me grab this one first, go Boolean and then click on this one. It'll add those two together like one shape. Okay, so that's cool, complex shapes. If I take this one, which is subtract, and add those two together, by saying Boolean, he does that. And then the last one is intersect, so it'll just you'd be the one in the middle. So I'll say Boolean, oops, no, I'll come over to here and say Boolean, and then click on this one, and now I've just got the intersection. So I mean, it's got its uses, I guess. Again, I'm not sure that I couldn't just make this shape really simply inside of Z or inside of the poly modeling tools, but anyway, what we did in the other class was when you have an extra edge right here and you want to make more vertices, you can do it the way I was just showing you, add more pieces, or you can just click on refine and refine and it makes more edges for you. So I'm going to take these two, pull it out, change them to corners, all of them. That way I don't have any interpolation. And then I'm going to pull this one up, go to the front view or left view, make it straight. I could grab both of them. And again, scale in one direction. Looks pretty good. So we made a stadium edge here, or an arena. I take these two and say corner, and then all I'm doing when I do that is grabbing an edge and telling it how I want it to be defined. And the corner means there's never going to be any interpolation. It's going to be one vert to the next vert. As soon as you say Bezier or smooth, it starts doing the crazy stuff, or Bezier corner. So I guess I'll show you that real quick. Bezier is this, where I have that, you know, again, I only have that selected there, where I have that. It's another reason I'm not crazy about them, is the tool sets are kind of funky. I could do that with it. Bezier corner, on the other hand, that's each of these act individually. So I could have a curve on one side and a sharpness on the other. The other option is smooth, which means it defines it for you, or of course going back to corner. And generally speaking, I just grab everything and say corner just to get it out of the way. So there's no extra edges that it's creating for me. If I want to make those edges, I can do them on my own in most cases. I mean, if I want to have fun, I could do that, but let's see. So I think what we did is we added Boolean shapes to this, meaning adding more shapes to make this form. But again, I'm all about the fastest solution, so I can grab one here. I'm going to just put a few dots here just so I'm breaking it up. I'm going to pull this. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Pull this out. Pull this one up. Actually, I'll pull it down. Pull this over. No. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to make another vert right here. I'm going to grab that one, pull it up, pull it over, make another vert here. No, I don't need that one actually. Just pull this one straight up. Basically, I wanted a little area in the middle there, so I was just trying to figure out how to do that without bullying it, because usually you could just cut out, the actual exercise was to use several shapes and cut them out. And again, yes, these tools are all in here. Yes, they have their uses. Yes, they're cool. I think you can use them for definitely a lot of different things. I'm just back to the point where, how do I get to the easiest editable poly shape as possible? They're absolutely masters of working in splines, and they can get what they want. But the basic idea to me is the most logical solution is, how do you get to the form of an editable poly? So let me show you this. I'm going to come in here and say ellipse, and then I'll go to create, make sure I'm in compound mode, which is under standard primitives. And then I say loft, and I pick the shape, and I click on this one. And now I've got, this really exaggerated, but this is how we would have done an arena, right? And again, the cool thing is you can come back in here and edit and mess it up however you want. Add divisions, whatever you want to do. But I'm not defining, I just didn't want you not to have a chance to see these tools inside of here. I don't really want you to take the time to master them for my needs, for the class's needs. But if you want to, they're here. And if it's something easier for you to work with, I am all about it. There are definitely teachers who like to use splines, and there's nothing wrong with that. We used it to do some complex shapes. It just means you're doing a lot more setup instead of a lot more building. Again, not a problem. I think that when we did the edges, or when we did the lofting here, and delete the loft again, I think when I did it, we did it, let me see, top 0. I just want to show you that you can use them just like you would anything else. That was my point, is that it gets to how do you get to the shape you want more about than how do you use these things. Meaning that the shapes are going to be the same in the end, and this may be the fastest way to get this shape. For example, for this arena, if I wanted it all out of one piece, really fast, really simple, I might do this, go top, and obviously I needed to make it bigger because it felt really small. So I'm going to even not scale it up, but I'm going to, if I scale it up inside of the verts, once I break it to an editable poly, no, editable spline, I mean, I'm so used to saying poly. Okay, if I take the verts and scale them out, then it keeps them correct. If I take the, keeps the model still thinking it's the right size. If I take the object and scale it out, it's not exactly correct, meaning that it's going to think that the object is a smaller size because it's not really defined by its verts, and these vert positions are changed. So, all right, so if I come back to here and I go to edge mode, actually, yeah, edge mode, and grab these and this and delete, I've got just this curve. This is kind of what we did in class. And then I'll take this one and I'll come back to edit poly, or create compound objects, and I'll say loft, and I'll say get shape, and click on this. And now I've got the shape that I want. I may want to turn up the interpolation this time, so I'll go to the modify panel, turn it up, why not? Okay, so now I've got a quarter of my arena. I go to change to an editable poly at this point, or even if I don't, but let's say I don't, let's leave it that way. And then I come here and I'll see this is the center point. I want to go to, I can mess with the path in here. If I open this up, I can see the path. And then if I look at what I'm looking at here, it's actually giving me control over the verts inside of the path. So it's like letting me go back in time. I'll pull this back a little bit. Well, that's unexpected. Oh, it's a shape path is what I meant. Huh. Oh, back to editable spline. Go back to vert. There we go. I'm like, why is it? Oh yeah, that's what it's doing. So I'll move it just a little bit in, and then I'll move this one just a little bit in, that. And I go back to top menu and I look at this, there's my arena, and then I can come back out of the loft shape, and symmetry, and say flip, and now I've got half of the arena with a gap in the middle. And then if I do another symmetry and say Y, and there you go. So you've got that. So I've got an arena, more or less, what I'm thinking of. And, you know, a really crappy one because of this huge tall thing, and these are uneven, all the 100 reasons why this doesn't work great. But it's there. Now, how would I build that in 3D? Well, probably not really easy. This may be the best way to do this if I was going to do it this way. Or I just do it, with the poly and then pull out the faces and get it to turn and dance. This may be the fastest solution. And like I said, there's sometimes these are the fastest solutions. It's just they don't jump in my head unless I'm thinking of things I need to make like this. So that's editable splines. You can do a lot of fun stuff with them. You can do a lot of nothing with them. You can spend your time, but again, I'm worried about you getting to the final point where it's the 3D object too. So if you want to use these to get to some of your 3D objects, have at it. You're more than welcome. And that's all we have.